Every year, new challenges arise that we either need to conquer, learn to adapt to, or end up being consumed by. With the global pandemic finally getting under control, a lot of things are getting back to some level of normal. But like many of us, this past year or two has taken us out of our element and greatly hindered our social agendas. Thankfully, in 2022, progress has been made and we're ready to crawl out from the proverbial rock. But what's it like being a man in 2022? Being useful. Since the beginning of humankind, it's been the male's responsibility to provide protection, food, and shelter for his family. This dynamic, while dated and considered offensive or sexist by some today, was the dynamic that has seen our species progress through history. But are men still needed in this manner today? With grocery stores, butcher shops, and fast food restaurants able to provide whatever a woman is hungry for at nearly any given time, the hunter-gatherer trait of man has become obsolete. What about protection? Clearly, a woman still needs a big strapping man to protect her, right? Well, in 2022, not so much. With cameras and surveillance everywhere, people have never been as protected or watched over by law enforcement as they are now. Even with all the self-defense classes and items like pepper spray, tasers, and handguns, women are more than capable of protecting themselves. So where does this leave us? Well, most might answer that it leaves us obsolete. Others may see this as an opportunity to adapt. Finding purpose. So that leaves you wondering, how do I do that? Simple, by finding purpose. Men used to have to hunt to provide food, and if you go back far enough in history, spilling blood for the sake of your significant other was far more common than it is now. But without these things on our agendas, what do we do to fill the time? Some men choose to do nothing, and these are the men that won't flourish in 2022, or possibly ever unless they make some changes and find their purpose. So how do you go about finding your purpose? That's a question that has a different answer depending on who you ask, but I'll do my best to sum it up with the most helpful answer. To find your purpose, you need to find something you are dedicated to and do it better than anyone else. Okay, maybe not better than anyone else, but if you're passionate about something important, you have a purpose. And if you're willing to give it your all and make the best out of it, you're driven by your purpose. This has become more of the proverbial courtship dance these days, as women no longer need the strength and brute approach generally associated with the male gender. Instead, they look for a man that has a lot going on for them. In 2022, accomplishments and accolades carry more weight than slapping a freshly skinned deer on the table. Raising the stakes. So far, we've successfully defined that since the beginning of time, man has thrived off of the basis of being needed or useful. This dates back to early civilizations where men worked full-time jobs and took care of all the heavy lifting around the house. During these times, it was expected of the female to look after the children and the homestead as well, in the absence of her male counterpart. We've also defined that nowadays, a hunter-gatherer equals being a man with a purpose. A man who sets lofty goals, then goes after them and achieves them is far more attractive to a woman in 2022 than processing an entire cow. So, how do we go from simply surviving in this manner to thriving in this manner? While a man with hopes, aspirations, and the will and drive to go after them may be his sexiest asset to the fairer sex, there is more that can be done to increase your standing in the game and make you a better man in 2022. Be resilient. One of the greatest qualities for a man to have is resiliency. It's important to be strong for your family, your friends, your woman, and most importantly, for yourself. To be clear, I'm not referencing physical strength, although benching 230 pounds is rather remarkable. Impressive as it may be, it's not necessarily going to help you earn any more or less success in the love game. The strengths I'm talking about are in regards to emotional and social strength. An individual's ability to keep his chin up while looking adversity dead in the eye and telling it to go kick rocks. A man who is willing to work and fight through the hard times rather than succumb to them is a trait women find very desirable. Learning how to better yourself in this way is a fantastic way to usher in the new you for 2022. It's important to understand that you cannot expect to become Superman overnight. This phase is about the journey, not the payout. It's more of a way of life and not something that happens right away. Communicate. I'm sure you heard the phrase, communication is key, a time or two in your travels. And for good reason. It's extremely important in many facets of your everyday life. Well-spoken individuals tend to be more successful and stress out less than people who struggle with social interactions. While you are in school or even the workplace, you may notice how some people have no problem with public speaking, while others are nearly frozen stiff at the mere thought. Being a man in 2022 means you need to be able to rub elbows with not only women, but your male counterparts as well. This also builds your confidence, and being confident is crucial in today's society. Some simple rules to live by are: don't get involved with idle banter at the workplace. By keeping it strictly business, you appear more professional and focused. Always politely clarify your meaning if there is a misunderstanding, and remember to speak clearly and use correct English whenever communicating to someone you aren't too familiar with. The list can go on, but that's mainly because it's constantly evolving. What it takes to be a man in 2023 may not be the same as 2022. It would be unlikely that a video titled "How to Be a Man in 1974" would hold much merit in today's world, so a video a few years from now may make the men of 2022 look foolish or obsolete. This brings me to my final tip of the day. We've already learned how important finding a purpose is, but there is one thing that is far more crucial to being a successful male in the year 2022: the ability to evolve. To truly be a man in today's world, you need to be able to head into any storm with the mindset that you'll come out fine on the other side. For some, this takes some trial and error, and for others, it's a piece of cake. Just remember, find your purpose, stay focused, keep an open mind, and be resilient, and you'll be able to make 2022 your year.